Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today for our video on sum of roots and product of roots. We have 3 examples today, but we also have 2 formulas we need to talk about. So, roots are the answers to a quadratic equation. Quadratic equations are in this form: ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. That's a quadratic equation. And the answers to that problem, remember we could have up to 2 of them, the answers are called roots. So there's a formula to find the sum of the roots. So we don't know what the answers are, but we know that the sum of them can be found by doing negative b over a. And we're going to get the b from right there and the a from right there. Same thing here. We can tell you what the product of the answers is. We don't actually know what the answers are, but we know the product of the answers is c over a. We get the c from there and the a from there. So our 3 examples today are going to talk about how to use those formulas to help us out here. So first example says y equals negative 3x squared plus bx minus 3. Find b if the sum of the roots is negative 8. So we're going to use that formula. We know the sum of the roots is negative 8. So instead of writing sum of the roots, I'm going to write negative 8. We don't know b, so we're going to leave it as b. And we know that a is negative 3. So we're going to put a negative 3 down there. So if we use this formula and plug in what we know, we're going to end up with one unknown. We're going to end up with one variable we can solve for. The sum was negative 8 and a was negative 3. We don't know b, but we can find it. Now the formula says negative b over a, so there's actually a negative b here, but a double negative, I'm just going to drop that negative, right? Because if I make this negative and I make this negative, that would be a double negative. So instead of putting the b to be negative, I'm just going to drop the negative. All right, so let's solve for b. How would we do that? Well, let's put this over 1, and then let's cross multiply. B times 1 is b, and negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. So b in this equation is negative 24. Our full equation was negative 3x squared minus 24f minus 3. All right, example 2 says write an equation with a sum of the roots of negative 6 and a product of roots of negative 30. If they give you a very open-ended question like this, they want you to write an equation, and they're telling you what the answers add up to, and they're telling you what the answers multiply to. We have to kind of make up a value for a, because this has multiple equations. This has multiple answers. So when this is the case, when you have a question like this, we're just going to declare to ourselves that a is 1. You could declare that a is any numbers you want, but we're going to make a be 1 because that's going to make our lives easy. So now that we declared that a is 1, let's use both of these formulas. The sum of the roots is negative 6. And if we know that a is 1, which we just said, what does b have to be? Well, what number divided by 1 would be negative 6? B has to be negative 6. And now let's do our product of roots formula. Negative 30 equals c over a. We just decided a was 1. So what does c have to be? C has to be negative 30. So it says write our equation. So that would be x squared minus 6x minus 30 equals 0. Now, if we would have declared a to be a different number, like 2, then these numbers would be different. You're going to end up with multiple options with these equations because the a value kind of controls everything else, right? So if we pick an a value of 1, that's going to be the easiest route, and that's going to give us the answer that most of the time you'll see on the answer key, and most of the time I will give you. All right, and then finally, question number 3. For equations in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, write an equation that would have the roots 7 plus or minus 6 radical 3. So again, this is asking us to write an equation. So we'll just start by declaring a as 1. You could do that unless they specifically tell you what A is. So A is 1. Next step. Let's do the sum of the roots. What are our two roots here? Our two roots, there's two of them here. We just can't see them. The sum of our roots is, that's our first root. And this is our second root. Remember, plus or minus means plus or minus. So if we add the two roots, we will find the sum of the roots. Let's add these two. 7 plus 7 is 14. And 6 radical 3 plus negative 6 radical 3, those cancel out. So our sum of roots is just 14. So now if we use that information, we're going to use the formula 14 equals negative b over, we know P is 1. So that must mean b is negative 14. And let's do the same thing to find the product. We have to multiply both of these to find our product. So multiply these, we have to do box method, right? If we do 7, 6 radical 3, 7, negative 6 radical 3. To find the product of two things, we have to multiply them. And when our two things have pluses and minuses in the middle, when they're binomials like that, we have to use box method. So let's multiply these. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 6 radical 3 would be 42 radical 3. Negative 6 radical 3 times 7 is negative 42 radical 3. And these two, when you multiply radicals, you multiply the numbers out front and the number inside separate. So negative 6 times 6, negative 36. And radical 3 times radical 3 is radical 9. And what is radical 9? Radical 9 is the square root of 9, which is 3. So this is just going to be negative 36 times 3. These two boxes cancel because they're opposites. So this is going to be 49. And then these two we can simplify to be negative 108. And we're going to combine like terms here. The product of our roots is just going to be a number. It's going to be 49 minus 108, which is negative 59. So our product of our roots is negative 59. And if we use our product formula, we get negative 59 equals C over A. And A is 1. So our product is, or our C is negative 59. So going back to the original question, they said write an equation. Our equation is ax squared, A is 1, so x squared minus 14x minus 59 equals 0. All right, so that's how you do that question. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.